Welcome back to SleeplessRonin Plays. Today we're going to be doing a 4-hunter version of a cooperative playthrough of Horizon Zero Dawn, the board game. I've been challenged to do this because a lot of people are wondering whether or not the difficulty level is increased at 4 players or not. Because at 2 players, when I did this in my last cooperative playthrough, was actually not too difficult in my opinion. So I'm going to see whether or not 4 players, allowing the machines more activations and more machines on the field, is going to make the game more difficult. So that's the challenge for today. With that said, I've got all my stuff laid out. If you'll notice over here in the one area, you can see some of the hunters laid out. They're all laid out together so I can kind of just handle it. I've got my encounter area up top. And that's everything set up and everything's ready for me to start rolling dice and playing the game. So with that said, the first thing we're going to do is you dig into the encounters deck, draw our first 3 cards, and see which one we want to do. Okay. None of them look extremely difficult, but the potentially most challenging one of all, well, the one with the best rewards is this one right here. It's probably the best rewards, because it's got the machine corpses on the field. So, of course, we want to choose that one, because we want to go after the most potential rewards. With that said, we need boards 4A, 2A, and 6A. So now we're ready to pull out the stuff we need to put on there. On the A slots, we need to put watchers down. At least that's a nice number of machines. Then the next thing we need are striders. Probably just a pair of them is what I'm going to guess, because they're in the B slots and they're the board. Then, in the square locations, we need to put machine corpses. 2 machine corpses. There we go. Our victory condition requires 5 scavenge points, which is actually pretty easy. That's just barely over half the monsters in the field. We need to kill a strider and 3 watchers to get that goal. If we kill everything, though, all hunters will get an additional 2 salvage points. So that's where we're making our goal. We're going to kill everything. Okay, I randomized my hunters earlier to determine who'd be first. Going clockwise, the Nora, then the Karja, Ostrom, and Banuk. So, that's the way they're going to deploy, and also, deployment order is in the 2A square, so here, 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 and here. So the Nora is going to go here. Actually, no. We're going to start in the grass. We're not going to be idiots. We're going to start in the grass. Karja, Ostrom, and Banuk. Everybody's going to be hiding in the grass. It's a good place to start. So the Nora is the first hunter we're going to go with. So we draw up our hand of 5 cards. All the hunters draw their hand of 5 cards. For simplicity, I'm just kind of leaving the cards over by the hunters themselves, so it's easier for me to, deal with them. Because this is a lot of moving parts for one person to operate, and it is just one person operating this. Doesn't mean I have to remember a lot of rules and a lot of stuff to remember to keep it all going smoothly for myself. And now that I've got the hunters cards dealt with, I should probably pull out the machine AI cards and the machine cards themselves. There we go. With those cards in play, we are ready for the first hunter's activation, which again is the Nora. She's got a bunch of arrows and 2 interrupts. So, obviously she's going to be shooting a watcher. Now, the interesting thing is, for once, we've actually got enemies in alertable spaces, so we have to be careful because we actually could trigger some really interesting effects very early on in this one. So I'm actually thinking that at least the machine setup for the 3 to 4 players is far more balanced than it is for like 1 or 2. Because right now, if I shoot any of those watchers, I'm going to alert the next watcher. I can cascade through the watchers pretty effectively at this point in time. So I have to be very careful. I have to kind of accept that I'm going to have watchers activate pretty quickly. Machines in this battle should probably begin going relatively fast. So we're just going to kind of accept that in this instance, there's going to be some watchers going crazy pretty fast. Okay, so here we go. We've got the Nora. She'll be using her Hunter's Bow. The Hunter's Bow is a 2 orange die, range 2 weapon with a critical value of 2. We're going to play a Hunter's Arrow to give it 3 orange, And then we're going to play Inventive to add an additional orange to the attack. Nora here, shooting this Watcher up here at range 2. So, my Nora has got 4 orange dice, all total, because of the cards I've played, versus an enemy with 4 health. It doesn't have any armor because it's not alert yet. Well, we do 6 damage, because the criticals are each worth 2 on the Hunter bow. So that Watcher is toast, which is good. So I remove it, and this one becomes alert. Then we resolve. We get 1 salvage card for the Nora. It's some chill water. We get 1 glory for the Nora. I'll just put it on the card. Not going to spend it yet. And we gain 1 encounter point. That is the Nora's first action. So the Nora technically has a second action it can do. Remember, you can't attack with the same kind of attack twice. Which, at the moment, I think I'm just going to pass. The Nora's done its job. Kill the Watcher. So now we go to the enemies. The enemy phase. So, first thing we do is we do all the alert enemies. We have 1 alert enemy. It's a Watcher. So you check the Watcher's AI card, and we go, non-alert enemy within 2 squares. Yes, there is. There's 1 right next to it. Move 1 towards the closest non-alert enemy. So the Watcher moves there. Then we use the Watcher's ability. While this enemy is alert, any non-alert enemies in the adjacent square become alert at the end of the activation. Enemies alerted this way do not activate this turn. This Watcher becomes alert. It doesn't activate. Because it doesn't activate, we now move on to the non-alert enemies. Which moves 1, moves 1, moves 1. So now we have 2 Watchers we have to deal with in the next turn. The chances of taking them both out are very low, so we're probably going to have some more enemies activate next turn. So now we move on to the Karja. The Karja is down here. The Karja did not get a lot of ammo. Actually, the Karja didn't get a lot of good cards right now. But the Karja has a sling. So the Karja is going to sneak up to here. Then the Karja is going to attack with its sling. And the sling has an orange die for value. And I play a freeze bomb, which adds a black die. And that is literally the only dice that the Karja has. So black and orange, attacking either which Watcher, doesn't matter. They both have armor 1 now because I alerted them. Well, I get the critical effect, which freezes a Watcher. I do 2 points of damage, which ends up being 1 point of damage because of the armor. And then I'm going to play Hit and Run, so the Karja may sprint away. The Karja is just going to get the heck out of dodge. So now, once again, we go back to the alert enemy step, and the Watchers activate. We're going to go with the, doesn't really matter which one. We'll go with the frozen-y one. Is there a non-alert enemy within 2 squares? Yes, there is. So it'll move 1 towards the closest non-alert enemy. Then, because of its ability, while this enemy is alert, any non-alert enemies in an adjacent square become alert at the end of its activation. Enemies alerted this way do not activate this turn. So that, unfortunately, triggers both of the Striders. When this enemy becomes alert, it moves 1 square towards the closest enemy. We are going to have a lot of enemies jammed together in this square. So all the Striders have all alerted now. Okay, back to the other Watcher which hasn't activated. Non-alert enemy within 2 squares. No, it is not. Now it moves 1 towards the closest Hunter. Because the Karja activated last, so it's priority. Even though these Hunters are all the same distance, it heads towards the Karja. We have 4 alert enemies. This is going to play a lot differently. I think the 3 to 4 player level may actually be interesting. On to the Ostrom. Okay, the Ostrom has a backswing in their hand, so smacky smack time. The Ostrom is going to sneak and then make a melee attack using backswing to add 2 orange die to the hammer's 2 orange die. And we're just going to swing at this guy. Well, we have a whopping 6. Minus 1 for the armor is 5. 5 is enough to smash that Watcher to bits. So that Watcher is shattered. Which results in the Ostrom getting a glory, getting a salvage card. Oh, he moved up to here when he made his melee attack, my bad. Which he also got chill water. Man, they're all chill right now. That's his 2 actions. So the Ostrom is done. He did good for us. That's 1 additional alert enemy down and dead, which we definitely needed. Okay, enemy step. Oh, he should have been here now. We're going to be losing that Watcher, unfortunately. He's going to wander off because, yeah. So he started there. Nora's turn. Carja's turn. And unfortunately, he's not within 2 squares of the Watcher, so the Watcher will not be going towards him. Instead, the Watcher will simply move 1 to there and does nothing else because his attack is a range 0. So it actually doesn't attack. Then we got the Striders. Is there another enemy within 2 squares? Yes, there is. Move 2 towards the closest Hunter. Okay. And then makes an attack 4 value. Okay, Ostrom. You are being struck. The Ostrom's defense is a blue die, and that's it. I have nothing else for defense right now. I block 3 of the 4. The Ostrom takes a whopping point of damage, and from that, I simply discard a Searing Strike, because I got 2 of it in my hand. Then the Ostrom has to move, because he made a dodge roll, so he's getting that heck out of dodge. Then, we go to the Strider, the next Strider. Is there an enemy within 2 squares? Yes, there is. There's a Watcher within 2 squares, and another Strider. So we move 2 towards the nearest Hunter. So the nearest Hunter, now he's 3 away, and the Banuk is 2 away. So the Strider moves like that. I'm fairly certain you can cross this. If anyone wants to correct me on this rule, please let me know, because that's the one question I actually have right now, is whether I can cross that corner. It still seems like they're adjacent to me, so I'm going to say I can do it for now. Besides, it makes it a little bit more difficult. And once again, the Strider has an attack 4 and swings at the Banuk. But the Banuke's armor is black. Nothing. The Banuk takes a full 4 damage. Ow. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I pitch 4 cards for the Banuk. And the Banuk retreats. Now, it's finally the Banuk's turn. The enemies actually have caused a lot of... Oh, wait, nope, non-alert enemies. Boop, he's gone. He ran away. So he, unfortunately, will not be in the battle anymore. Which means we have to kill everything else left on the field. Well, no, not really. We do lose the 2 scrap value, though, so we're not going to get the bonus salvage at the end of this round, which could be a bit of an annoyance, actually. That was a good amount of salvage, and now no one's going to get it. So, with that being said, it's time for the Banuk to go. The Banuk needs to draw 4 cards. Lots of Hunter arrows and sacrifice, which is a good card. The Banuk is now going to sprint there and shoot at this Watcher. See if we can't eliminate the Watcher, just because it's a thing you can kill. So, Hunter's arrow, adding 1 orange die to its 2 orange die that it has for its Hunter's bow. Here's the exact same kind of bow as the Nora. It has no armor because it's frozen. So, I've got 3 orange dice for this attack. Against the... Got 3 orange die versus the Watcher, which has no armor right now. 4 damage! That's exactly enough. Actually, it's more than enough because I already had 1 point of damage. So, I've rolled the 4 damage. The Watcher dies. That gives us our 3rd encounter point. We just need to kill 1 Strider at this point in time. We can call the hunt. But we may continue on because that last Strider will be worth some salvage. Which is what happens now. Now the Banuk gets 1 glory. And it gets 1 salvage card. It gets Machine Lens, which is a metal shard and a generic piece of equipment that counts as any of the 3 required items or a metal shard. So Banuk so far is the wealthiest person. And that was the Banuk's 2 actions. Now, activated enemies. Okay. Is there another enemy within 2 squares? No. Move 1 towards the closest enemy. Go there. So now, we go to the next one, which is, is there an enemy within 2 squares? Well, now there's a yes. Move 2 towards the closest hunter. The closest hunter is between the Karja and the Ostrom. And the Karja was the most recent to activate, so I'm going to say that's the target. And he goes there. He makes an attack 4. The Karja gets an orange die for defense. And because he's rolling orange die for defense, it can add an orange die for defense. I have to discard one of these orange die, but I still get to use both orange die. I discard a 1. I block 1 point of damage. The Karja takes 3 points of damage, which I discard from my hand, which is everything in my hand, which is fine. I'll just drop to 5 on next turn. And then, of course, I dodge, and the Karja goes there. Now, it's the Nora's turn. The Nora has 3 cards in hand, and draws up 2. We have Hunter arrows, which is what's important. Okay, we're going to play Sliding Shot. The Hunter makes a dodge before checking the range of the attack. So I'm making an attack roll, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to dodge before checking the range of the attack. This puts me between both enemies, which is just fine. Then I'm going to play a Hunter's arrow to add an orange die to my attack. So I got 3 orange dice against that Strider. Oh, good grief. Okay. That is going to be a crit for 2, a crit for 2, and 1 more damage. So I do 5. The Strider has armor of 1, so it's 4 damage to the Strider. That's actually a pretty good shot. I didn't kill the enemy, so I don't get an additional glory point, which is unfortunate. But I did be sneaky and move myself onto the machine scrap with my sliding shot, allowing my Nora to steal the scrap. So I'm going to spend an action to steal the scrap. So I reveal 3 cards. Okay, can't use trophy shot, so I have Blaze and a Sparker. I'll take the Blaze. Woo! And this is gone. Yeah, I like to play my Nora as a sneaky bastard. Now we go back to activated machines now. Once again, we start with a Strider. And I'm just going to pick the damaged Strider again to go first. Is there an enemy within 2 squares? Yes, there is. Move 2 towards the closest hunter. Well, that's a lot of guys right there. But we all know that by priority, the closest hunter has got to be the Nora. So that being said, the Nora has a defense of 2 orange. That's actually pretty solid. Which is actually what the Karja gets, but the Karja loses 1. But yeah, okay. We're doing 4 damage, and the Nora has 2 orange. Nora blocks 1 and takes 3 points of damage, emptying the remainder of their hand. Remember, if a single hunter gets knocked out, then that means we lose this mission. So it's actually getting kind of scary for the Nora right there. Which, unfortunately, though, this Strider's attacking the Nora as well. Nora takes 3 more damage. So I take the top 3 cards of my discard deck, and I put them, or my draw deck, and put them in the discard. Okay, that is the end of that. We got a lot of people fighting in 1 square over there, and we got the Banuk all by themselves. Question is, can the Banuk get to where the Banuk is trying to go before everybody else kills the Striders? Because the Banuk is definitely attempting to get to the scrap over there in the corner. Now it's time for the Karja's turn. The Karja, in the mess with everybody else, draws 5 cards. The Karja will sneak to there, putting me in grass, and that will let me use Silent Strike. I'm going to Silent Strike with my Karja Halberd, so that's 2 blue and an orange, targeting the already damaged Strider, because I really want that thing dead and gone. So the Karja moves in and swings away. 4 damage. 1 point is blocked by armor, so 3 damage, but it already suffered 4, so that's 7 damage, which exceeds its 6. It dies. Its death results in the Karja getting a glory, which the Karja is going to be very kind to spend immediately and allow the Nora to shuffle a card from its discard pile into its deck, just for a little bit of extra defense. Then the Carja will get a salvage card, which is metal shards. Then it will add one encounter. Oh, it only adds one encounter. We have to kill this last strider if we actually want to succeed, so we got very lucky. We're going to barely be able to succeed on this mission. But the last thing the Carja is going to do is play Hit and Run. After resolving an attack, this hunter may perform a free sprint action. Carja is just going to run away. And that is the Carja's turn. So far, so good. And now it's time to go for the enemies. Is there an enemy within 2 squares? No, there's not. Move 1 towards the closest enemy. I can't do that. So I move 2 towards the closest hunter. I'm already there. Unfortunately, it's still the Nora, so the Carja's maneuver actually could cost the whole team because the Nora is taking the block because it's the most recent hunter in the square. But he blocks 2. Or she blocks 2. So I only take 2 damage, top of my deck. Still leaving me plenty of deck, actually. Well, exactly 5 cards remaining in my deck, so I have a hand. That is definitely rough for the Nora. So now it's the Banuk's turn. Or not the Banuk, the Ostrom's turn. Well, with any luck, the Ostrom will draw some powerful cards. He discards 2 cards because he doesn't like them, and draws 4 to replace. We're looking for some big cards to do some big damage. And all we drew was backswings and cleaves. But you know what? We want the backswings. We're going to play a backswing, and we're going to add Searing Strike to it. So we have 4 orange dice in the attack pool, because he's not going anywhere right now. He's just going to swing and smash this thing in the face. And adding fire. So he does 3 damage and fire. And as an additional benefit, if this attack damages the target, you may push the target. Then as his action, he's going to sneak there, simply to make sure the monster or the machine cannot go after the poor Nora. So now it's time for the Strider to go. Another enemy within 2 squares? Again, no. So I just simply move 2 towards the closest hunter by skipping the step I can't do. So it does an attack 4 against the Ostrom. The Ostrom has a blue defense die and blocks 3 of it again, taking a lone point of damage, which he just discards a card from hand. I'd forgotten to have the Nora dodge earlier when the Nora made its first evade roll, but it wouldn't have actually gotten it away from the enemy, really. It would have changed things. My bad on that one. That was totally my mistake. Sometimes I tend to forget that. That's the hardest rule for me to remember for some unknown reason, is the I have to flee after being attacked. But I did do that right there. So now it's the Banuk's turn. The Banuk is actually being selfish. Draws 1 card, sprints, and delves into the salvage, drawing 3 cards, drawing the one we're going to keep. The Banuk is actually looking at having some significant money at the end of this mission. Okay, so now the machine goes again. Move 2 towards the closest hunter. Oh, it suffers a point of fire at the end of its activation, so the last turn it would suffer 1 point of damage. Okay, now it attacks the Banuk again. The Banuk's not even like scared of these things. Oh, it took 3 damage this time though. Not the Banuk, the Ostrom. The Ostrom discards 2 cards and a card off the top of its deck, and dodges. And then we're back to the Nora. The Nora draws their last cards, plays Hunter's Arrow, whoa, slide, and Precision Strike, because they're going to actually shoot at the Blaze Canister, because killing the Blaze Canister will kill the machine, as well as giving us the bonus of ignoring armor, and we're going to have another bonus for another card in my hand. So we got 3 orange die, ignoring the machine's armor. So as long as we do 2 points of damage, we'll break the canister, and we'll get a big bonus. And the benefit is, since I'm targeting an opponent, and I'm the Nora, I can re-roll any number of my dice. I'll re-roll this one just because. Doesn't really matter. I still do the 2 damage I needed to do to break the Blaze Canister, doing 2 points of damage, giving me ignoring of armor, allowing me to play Critical Hit. After this hunter destroys a component, draw a card from the salvage deck. Unfortunately, it was ruined parts, and that's discarded because it was not technically from the kill, it was from the card. Then I go down the chart, and I get a Glory, which I'll spend immediately. I'll spend 2 of them immediately to put 2 cards in my deck. Then I'll get 1 salvage card, which is metal shards, which is good to have. And then the Strider is dead, and we have achieved our goal in the first mission. Hooray! That was actually a little bit tougher. Or actually, that was a lot tougher in many ways than playing it simply as a 2-player game. It's much more difficult as a 4-player game, which I like. That's good. That makes me happy. So that one was 1. We're going to move on to the Campfire phase. The benefit of this is We barely won that one. That Nora almost got knocked out. And we only barely got the 5 points we needed. Meaning we did not get the bonus additional 2 points of scrap I was really wanting to. That's unfortunate. When I played through when I played through as just 2 hunters, I never failed to get that. I always achieved getting my bonus salvage at the end of every single mission. First thing I'm going to do in the campfire phase, I'm going to pass the leadership token to the Karja warrior. Then we're going to level up our characters, because we've completed a level 1 difficulty, so we can go into the level 1 cards. So we're going to look at the cards that are available. Well, it's really easy for the Nora to pick. The Nora is going to pick Scavenger. I honestly don't... these are not even slightly equal. I think I complained about this beforehand. The last one. The Karja Hunter bow is nice. It's a solid, strong bow. The problem is, it's just nothing compared to Scavenger. Scavenger literally means that for every enemy on the field, I'm going to get a salvage card. If I kill it, I get a salvage card. If someone else kills it, I get a salvage card. How is that even slightly balanced comparatively? I can buy a bow to replace my Hunter's bow in the decks. But the fact that I get a salvage card for every single enemy killed is bonkers. There's no card in the game that compares to that. On the Karja, there is a question. Elusive is pretty solid because after an invade roll, the hunter may perform a sprint action instead of dodging. Is pretty cool. You can get 2 spaces away. But Prideful, the hunter may discard a glory point to reroll an attack. The reroll attack either destroys a component or kills the target. This hunter gains 1 additional glory point. Is pretty good too. But I used Prideful last time. I'm going to give Elusive a try this time. I think those are almost balanced. The glory one is really cool, and the attack rolls are really good. But the ability to dodge really far can also be really useful. So that one, I actually can see some balance in. I'm going to try Fireforged on the Ostrom. Last time I played a Blade of Armor, and I never really used it. So I'm going to try Fireforged instead to allow him to inflict multiple burn tokens, which honestly does seem kind of insane. And on the Banuk, Insulated is not bad since you can discard from your discard pile. You can scrap. I don't know, scrapping cards, is that worth it? Versus Intuition, which allows you to re-roll dice, and re-rolling dice can be really solid. So obviously I'm adding Intuition. I just don't think Insulated is actually even as good. Even though it's always in play, I don't think it's as good. Because scrapping cards is something you don't come back from. When cards are scrapped until the campfire phase. Okay, so now we go into the merchant phase. We need to make sure we put out enough cards to have a weapon card, an armor card, 2 ammo, 2 modifications, and a miscellaneous item card. Okay, so starting to play with the leader token. Since the leader token moved first, the Karja will buy first. The Karja has a whopping single metal shard, which means the only thing they buy is a resist ranged weave or a shock wire. Since we don't have a caster for that, they're going to buy the resist ranged weave, which could be useful, we don't know. Their armor has 2 weave slots, so they just add it underneath the armor, so Karja Silk's Light protects them a little bit more from ranged. Then we add in another resist melee weave. That's a really good weave. The poor Ostrom Forge Smith only has a single chill water, but they can use that to pay for a single point of metal shards, allowing them to buy the shock wire if I want to. Or they can buy the Nora Protector Light for 2 orange dice versus 1 blue die. I'm kind of happy with the blue die. Also, the armor they're wearing means they don't have to dodge if they don't want to. So I'm going to just buy that shock wire with the chill water. Buying the shock wire. I have to check my deck size because I have to probably remove a card for that. Then we add in some more ammo. And now we have fire arrows. That'd have been nice. Okay, the Banuk has got a lot of money. The first thing they're going to buy, so they're going to spend 2 pieces to buy a resist melee weave, because that's just good. And then they're done for this round. And we draw another resist ranged weave. And at long last, we come to the Nora, who is going to buy the other resist melee weave by spending a blaze and a metal shards. We got a handling coil. That's kind of cool. Karja has no money. Ostrom has no money. Banuk has 2 points to spend if they want to. They need to spend both of them at the same time, or it'll just go to waste. And I'm going to buy that handling coil. It seems interesting. I'm going to put the handling coil on the hunter's bow, because the hunter's bow has 2 dice, so it seems more useful to put it up there. And a damage coil. Well, that's kind of cool. And then Nora's going to spend their chill water to buy that damage coil. Put that on their bow. And that's the end of the merchant phase, since no one can buy anything anymore. And that is the conclusion of Mission 1. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. That way you'll be notified when Mission 2 is uploaded. This is SleeplessRonin saying sayonara, and see you next time.